Hi, I'm Neil Druckmann, and I was the director and co-writer.
Hi, my name is Hallie Gross, and I was the co-writer and narrative lead.
I'm Ashley Johnson, and I play Ellie.
Hi, I'm Troy Baker, and I played Joel.
This whole scene came about because we were trying to figure out how do we recap the previous game just enough for people that haven't played it, or might have been so many years they don't even remember it. So we thought, oh, Joel could confess to Tommy.
And this was, I don't know why I dug my heels in, and I was like, I do not agree with this. And I had such a problem with it because I felt like this was a secret that Joel was going to take to his grave, and he would just bear this sin. And it wasn't until we were on set, and I'm sitting across from Jeffrey, and I'm watching him just listen to Joel. And every take, we went deeper and got better, and more truth came out.
It's really small, but you're right, it's really powerful and intimate of this exchange between these brothers, of just how far they've come since he's rejoined Jackson.
Yeah. It's become one of my favorite scenes. The meticulousness of this task of fixing up a guitar. And I remember you saying specifically is like, you're really trying to get the grime out. And to me, how that mapped to what he's trying to do in this scene with this conversation is I'm just trying to get every last bit of dirt out.
In the original game, we didn't cut to a close-up of Joel and seeing like what was his emotional state coming into that operating room.
That look from Tommy.
What do you do?
I love this right here. I saved her. And we wanted some darkness around that statement of like, the implication is I did whatever I needed to do to get her out of there.
And the justification, that comes from that.
That is the central question, right? And I think that opening the game on that line is so important because Joel really does believe he saved her. And that's the question for Ellie throughout the game of, did he?
I remember just so much work we did on this soundscape right here of just leaving you with that kind of uncomfortable feeling of it was a good thing, but there was definitely a lot of darkness around it. It's a great scene for Tommy as well. Again, now he has to carry the weight of this thing that his brother did. Right now he's not feeling great about it.
That's so. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
He's also a family guy, so on some level he gets it.
What does Ellie know?
And he gets obviously he knows what Joel has been through and why that decision was so important for him.
I told her they just ran some tests.
There's something to me that hits me every time when Ellie rolls over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I caught it as much. I don't think I was aware of it. Like, Neil, you being a parent, you're more familiar with some of those gestures than I was, or I am now. Traveler will do this, where he will, when I put him to bed or whatever, and he's ready to go to sleep, or he needs to be alone with his own thoughts, he'll do that turn. And it never really hit me that that's what Ellie is doing, is just, okay, I'm done talking about this now. I just kind of want to be private in my own thoughts.
Which is also an interesting juxtaposition that's happening here, is we're getting to see the moment he was lying to her while he's confessing the truth to his brother. And the differences in those two relationships now. And it's, despite how much they've been through and how much Ellie has become an equal of sorts, he still sees her as his child. And if he has to lie to her to protect her, he will. It was important to get this final handoff of playing as Joel one last time as this beautiful sunset ride towards Jackson before we fully kind of hand off the baton to Ellie. We worked so hard on these transitions to go from cutscene to gameplay. And it was just a change in tech that we had from the first game to the second game, where the first game, all the cinematics were pre-rendered. Now that they were real time, there was a lot of effort put into just these seamless transitions in and out of gameplay.
About what we were talking about earlier.
This is a great moment.
I can't say I'd have done different.
And you have to wonder, is Tommy telling the truth? Or does he know it's too late to do anything about it? And that's the best truth to put out there.
There's also something, it's just occurring to me now, but I think confessing to Tommy really speaks to sort of the themes of the game of how hard it is to be alone and to carry things alone. And even Joel can't do it at a certain point and needs to unload on Tommy. And so what it is for Ellie to isolate further and further and further and carry her secrets alone more and more and more.
There's her little house.
I discovered some people don't realize that her house is the
garage.
Exterior garage of Joel's house.
Look, she's drawing a deer. Oh, and you're hearing Sean James' song, which was the song we did for the teaser trailer.
Ellie?
Shout out to the environment team that had to build several different versions of this room, as Ellie has lived in it for longer and longer and got more and more of her items from the old world that she's obsessed with.
Lava lamp.
I love this moment of just like, hey, how do you...
Jesus.
Do you both remember when we did this scene live on stage, just for an audience of 100, 200 people? I forget exactly. Like Jeff Keighley set up this one night live, and I wrote the scene just for that. But in the back of my mind, I knew already this would be the opening for the second game.
Oh, yeah. And that was...
Talking about how impressed they are with
Some of that was streamed except for this scene. That
right,
was just for the audience.
We did not stream the scene.
There was this, I remember we got it, and then, as often happens, there's a team of people that kind of come up to you, and after you go, cut, best that one, that's a take we can go with. And people just kind of clouded around you, and there was a conversation that was happening. We were trying to figure out what it was, and I saw you do your, everything's okay, it's fine. And then afterwards, you tell me this story that in Uncharted 3, the ship capsizing was one of the most resource-draining, almost game-breaking things that you guys had, one of the most ambitious set pieces you'd ever done. And then in the Left Behind DLC, the photo booth was one of the most resource-draining, almost game-breaking things. He goes, up until you decided to put your thumb in your belt loop.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, so actually that's funny because you did that, Joel initially didn't have his shirt tucked in. But in order to honor, again, this little gesture that you did, redesigned his clothing. And the way we did clothing on this game is we actually sourced the actual material and scanned it. So we had to source the shirt, the pants, the belt, scan it, so we could do this one gesture that you did, which was like looping your thumb around your belt.
Trust in you.
From a writing standpoint, this was a tricky scene because we have to reestablish these characters and their relationship, but also show there's something hanging over them. That there's, we had to honor the ending of the first game, that moment of okay, of lie, that again, Ellie knows something is off, but she doesn't quite know how to deal with it or how to move past it. Right, so this scene has you see at the beginning, she's trying to get rid of him, and then he wins her over by playing the song, and she softens by the end of it. And it's interesting, they talk about you promised you would teach me how to play the guitar, and they're talking about promises and oaths and the idea of keeping your promises. And we know this lie is hanging over them.
I love this opportunity this song gives Ellie to watch him.
Yeah.
Without confrontation.
And again, there's so much beautiful acting that you're doing here, Ashley. I know these compliments are making you uncomfortable, but it's look how much she's processing.
Yeah.
You could see it. You could feel it. And again, talking about when characters make eye contact versus not, is only when he finishes that he finally allows himself to look up.
Barely.
Barely right there.
It's a very intimate thing.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been more nervous than I was in that scene playing that song.
Were you more or less nervous when you did it live?
For some reason, playing music live to me feels a little bit more at home. But also, I don't know if I fully understood what that song meant to you, Neil. And knowing what it was going to mean now to other people once they played the game. And now there was context to it. Now there was story.
First lesson?
They care about each other so much.
The lighting. Lighting is so gorgeous here. And this was the same pun we had when you both did it live.
Do you remember the joke?
And you could see the shift in Joel. Like that song has just shifted the relationship a little bit. It moved the needle.
Mm-hmm. He's standing up a little taller.
It's time consuming.
I love how much he's just trying to reach out to her on her terms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He still got dad in
Giving
him.
her space.
Yeah.
Still got dad.
Yeah.
Can I get over?
And this again, this writing is the same. It's like how this ended was the same as the live version, where you just play the low E. Well, I guess with the capo it wouldn't be an E, but boom, and just let this ominous note linger. Interesting parallel. In Last of Us Part 1, Joel wakes up after the multi-year jump
Was that
to a knock at the door.
Oh.
was that an accident?
No, that was by design.
Sorry, I totally overslept. Just give me a minute and I'll
Yeah, initially we had the whole dance and the kiss in the beginning. And then once we moved it to the end, we had to kind of, through exposition and dialogue, hint at what happened.
It was just Dina being Dina.
It's just Dina being Dina.
I was talking about your fight with Seth. Wait, you kissed Dina?
I love that scene kind of plays out like an awkward thing between them as if they had kissed last night, which is really funny.
Yeah.
You know, it has this like kind of morning after feel, but it's like not about them, which is really charming.
I would never.
Yeah, that's true.
This is so Ashley awkwardness right here.
I love it.
Messing with you, man.
VV awkward. Like, don't point, don't bring attention to something that I did, please.
It's kind of fucked up you did that.
Jesse's the coolest guy.
He
Look at him.
is.
He's like, he kissed his girl, and he's like, I'm fine.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Oh, Seth.
There you are. Come here.
Oh, Seth.
Yeah, remember this scene was,
I don't want to hear what that big.
I mean, so much of the story is about forgiveness and letting go of stuff, and how Ellie specifically struggles with that, and this was a pretty minor example of that.
Seth, come here.
Turns out I really struggle with it because I still hate this scene. I'm like, fuck that guy.
I know,
He's
me
trying.
too.
Look at him. He's
Doesn't work.
Steak sandwich. He's trying so hard.
Look how he wrapped it with a bow.
The way he starts with like, look,
Aw.
I'm like, yo, look you.
Yeah, don't looky hear me. Let's just.
Oh, now it's her fault.
Great job.
Yeah, this scene makes me so mad. Hey, I'm trying to apologize, you little bitch. You're like, what?
Made you some sandwiches.
Okay.
They're steak.
Thank you, Seth.
Didn't we discuss cutting Baguette sandwich because people had such a hard time understanding it at first?
Yeah, they kept hearing bacon sandwich.
Bacon sandwich. Yeah.
Bigot sandwich was a...
Bigot sandwich.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
What you got there?
Bigot sandwiches.
Yeah. Forgot about that.
Smells good.
Hallie, you wrote that, didn't you?
I don't know.
It just bigot sandwich feels
does
V
feel very
Hallie
Hallie.
to me.
Okay.
Oh, this is Dina's big intro.
Oh, here she comes.
I'm Shannon Woodward. I play Dina. I had a really hard time hiding behind nothing here.
Well, that's the thing that's so hard about sometimes acting in these things is that like the kids weren't there, and then we like
Yeah.
later capture kids and kind of constructed all the pieces.
Hey.
This is a me lean. I love to lean.
I just want to say sorry for running off last night. I actually really love this scene.
I totally get it. I felt bad.
I love the one-liners that you guys kind of riffed on when we were doing the combat stuff for the snowball fight.
Oh my God.
I still die laughing when I hear you guys insulting children.
And I think that was really, a lot of that was just my instinct.
Yeah. Your parents don't love you.
Yes. Yeah, and then I think eat snow, you
Eat
little.
snow.
No, I think
Yes.
you little shits. Yeah. Because I think you were like eat snow, and then I said eat snow, you little shit. I think
God.
it's like.
I love name calling children.
What the fuck? I'm not even playing.
Interesting parallel is Ellie doesn't want to do any of this until she gets hit with a snowball, and then it's like, let's make these motherfuckers pay, which is again is a really lighthearted moment of what this whole story's about.
Better run, you little shit.
All of the horse acting was always very funny to me because how that works is you have somebody holding on to a rope and you're just kind of
Pulling it along.
pulling them around. And it would always make me laugh.
Fun fact, the guy in the stable there is Yuri, who plays Spider-Man in the Spider-Man Insomniac game.
That's Yuri?
And this was another big scene. Anytime we have a big scene like this, we can only have so many actors in the volume, so this is captured in pieces. And I remember like Troy played one of like the people kind of
Yeah.
like, and they were improvising, talking crap in the background.
Yeah, and it's not there anymore. There was a bit where he said something kind of
Yeah.
goading to me, and it's not there anymore. But then every take we did, I'd call him a new name that I thought was like
yes.
embarrassing. I'd be like, listen, Chad.
You come back. Be smart about it.
Wait, I actually didn't know there's only a certain amount of people you can have in the volume?
Get going.
Yeah, just because we start losing data after a while, so to track all the little balls and stuff. It gets fuzzy. Like above 8, I think it just like gets more expensive, and you're more likely to be error prone, so it needs more cleanup.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Laura Bailey, and I played Abby in The Last of Us Part 2.
Ominous. And here we have the introduction of this crew, the Salt Lake City crew.
There's Neil.
Self-insert. And here we have Laura Bailey waking up. This was a repeating motif from the first game of these characters that are haunted by some horrible trauma and can't sleep.
The lighting is really nice here. It's really nice everywhere.
We debated quite a bit of like how much do we want to reveal for this character when you're about to play as her, versus how much we want to hold off for like the second half of the game when you get to see more of her. I remember we iterated a lot of how much snow he should have on him because he was just outside.
This is one of the audition scenes, I think.
What were you dreaming about?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Was I talking?
You're doing here.
It's important to know that we did not want to cast you in this role.
I've heard tell that you did not.
Just because you're in so many things and you're so iconic. But you were the best.
Grab your gear.
And once we saw your audition, there was no turning back.
What are you going to do, you know?
Trust me.
You painted us into a corner, Laura Bailey.
You're welcome.
This is the first real big choice this character makes, Abby, of do we turn back or
Does it?
does she choose justice?
We made it.
She's going to end up choosing justice, just like Ellie does later many times.
Choosing obsession.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a fucking city.
Yeah.
It's also important to note that, when you're acting in this, there's nothing there. You're in this blank white volume, and we're like, okay, it's snowing. You got to act like you're freezing. There's a town in the distance.
It's, so weird though. Like, I never, when I try to remember a scene or remember performing that moment, I never think of it in terms of oh, right, we were in this gray volume. I always had this visual of every set that was actually supposed to be there. And I think of it in those terms.
But I think that's a unique skill that only some actors have.
Really?
And other actors without the set, without the costume, they can't get into it. They can't lose themselves the way you and Troy and Ashley do.
When I did this audition, Troy was reading opposite me because he was doing all of the Abby auditions.
Sure, they'll be
And
That's right.
he forgot all of the lines in this particular scene. And we were just making stuff up. I remember thinking that went really well.
These scenes can be very tricky to write, but they're also a lot of fun where you're just given hints of this relationship. And obviously there's some kind of triangle here between Abby, Owen, and Mel. And Abby does a very poor job of hiding her feelings.
Okay.
It's not just that, though.
Should I say congrats?
When everyone else sees this, they're going to want to turn back.
But it's just interesting that,
Convince him.
Owen, we're setting up here, he plays this moral conscience for this group. And even here, he's trying to give Abby a way out.
Count on you.
Abby, I want what you want, but not at any cost.
Not at any cost. So it's there's a line here for justice that he's not willing to cross. And she hasn't found her line yet.
Well, it's also selflessness versus selfishness, right? He now has, even with nothing else, he now has a baby he has to think about, right? Which is the same for Dina, which is the same for Jesse, which is the same for Joel. But she is only thinking about herself.
Well, one could argue she's also thinking about her father, that this is all coming out of love, the love she had for her dad, and the injustice that they all experienced in his brutal murder by Joel's hands.
Oh, there we go.
You think it's still good?
Does weed go bad?
Let's find out.
The infamous weed scene.
Are we going to talk about how we did this twice?
You
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we
my
had a whole
God,
other version of
yes.
the scene that was a little too
On the
earnest.
nose. Yeah.
And we rewrote it and recaptured it.
It's
How do
funny
you
you
mean by
described it
that?
as earnest because I felt that it was literally a fight until she's like, "Okay, I love you."
It also felt that fight was trumping some stuff that happens later in the theater once we're in Seattle. So this was a moment to give them
What's wrong with you?
pure innocence before we go on this violent journey.
I remember, Neil, when you pitched the idea that she throws the glass, and I was still to this day, I'm like, but what if you smoke glass? I
Yeah.
get
If you
really
smoke glass.
concerned.
It is true.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, gonna be stuck here a while, right?
Kissing scenes in performance capture is really hard.
I feel like the hardest part about it was when we would have to do the ones where we would have to be standing apart.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
then
that was really embarrassing.
we would just have to be
Yeah,
with
because
ourselves.
we had one where it was just you standing there with your face turned to the side
Ugh,
and
I-
just kind of kissing the air so we get the pure facial reference that isn't obscured by
And then
Shannon's
I was like,
big head.
why do you need the front of the face? The front of the face is being used.
Well, because they animate it from all angles, even though you only see one
Yeah.
side.
How would you?
I feel like if I had to do this with anybody else, it would have been even more uncomfortable. But because Shannon and I got so close, it was helpful to sort of, when we had to do those awkward sort of kissing moments and we weren't actually being able to connect with each other physically and feeling awkward and weird, we would still be holding on to each other. So it still felt
We were like minorly cuddling.
Minorly cuddling, so you're like, well, at least there's like a little bit of something
Like
here.
intimacy. There was still some form of intimacy that it was like, all right, I still feel safe. I don't feel like I'm like flapping in the wind.
And you're in a brightly lit room.
Very brightly
with
lit
a
room.
bunch of technical engineers like standing all around you.
Yeah. But we found ways around it to sort of still be able to, you know, connect with each other and not feel so weird.
Oh, what? I mean, now I really want
I
to.
mean, what you're doing is, I think, pretty hard. You're trying to convey years of relationship with this other your best friend, and it all has
Yeah.
to come across like there's just so much history, and yet there's this still awkward thing that hasn't been realized until this moment.
Have you met you?
You make me want to go back outside into that blizzard.
She's got to flick that joint really aggressively in a second.
Flicky.
Ellie's so cool here. Look at how cool she is.
This better be better than a 6.
Yeah.
The flicking always made me
It's
uncomfortable.
very
I was
aggressive.
like, what if it catches on
It's
fire?
a very dry space.
The one guy that saves her life is the one guy she wants to kill.
And I think it speaks to the nuance of atonement, right? It's like she ultimately will save 2 other kids in trouble. But is that enough? Does that make up for anything?
So we wanted to create a scenario for them where, again, and Tommy trying to do the right thing and create some trust between him and Abby, he inadvertently reveals who they are. And you could see right there, like Abby has this reaction that only makes sense for players in hindsight, knowing who she is. But now her goals become different, not only to escape the horde, but to get these 2 back to her people.
This is where we see Joel doing something that, for us who have spent so much time with him before, is preternatural to him. It's to trust someone is really, really hard, but he's choosing to do it. And the problem with choosing to trust people is you always, every time, open yourself to getting hurt. That's just such a Laura look.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's like, boy, this is a bit of a pickle.
This is the Lethal Weapon 4 comparing scars.
I love it.
When I was 12.
Look at those arms.
Really jacked.
Dina's hot.
I tried to get on it.
So's Ellie. They're hot.
Yeah.
We're hot.
Yeah, we're hot.
I remember armpit hair being a large discussion.
Armpit hair with
the
Ashley
office.
Swadowski, who was our character art director.
Oh.
Yeah, and how much body hair should the girls have, and what are we okay with, and like let them be natural ladies.
I love it.
A chemical burn. I did it myself.
Why?
It's on the tip of her tongue right there. That's a hard thing to say to somebody. Like, oh, I'm the only person that doesn't really get affected by this thing that's completely ruined the world.
Right here.
Now I'm trying to remember, does it make it in that I'm like, I told you something true? It does.
Yeah.
It does. This still happens here.
Yeah. Way to
This
punch her.
scene, because we did it twice, sometimes I'm like, I don't remember which, because both times we did like, it was like 5 hours.
Yeah, they were big
Yeah.
days.
Ring of fucked up teeth marks and cysts and
Ow!
Fuck you.
What? Hey!
I told you a real fucking story.
I did tell you a real fucking story.
Oh, you want a bite mark?
Oh, God.
Oh, here comes
this scene.
Steven. I remember how, Shannon, how angry you were at Steven.
I wasn't angry at Steven. I couldn't tell why I was mad, and then this was the only real thing I actually fought for was this. Was to make him turn around. I was with you, and I was like, he needs to turn around, and you were like, why? And I was like, it took me a while to explain it to you, and then when he did it, then you were like, I get it. Because I was like, no, because I have to protect her.
Pretty sure that was in the script. but
No,
yeah,
it
you might
wasn't.
be
It
right.
was the only argument we had.
It's been 3 years. I don't remember. You're probably
It
right.
was
I
actually,
remember this.
It was the only thing I argued with you about. And it was because I felt so protective of Ashley that I knew it was right. That I was like, because we were so close, that I was like, turn around. She's naked. Like,
Yes,
you know,
because you guys knew each other intimately, but
Yeah.
Ellie and
exactly. And because I had to, like, I wanted to prove to you that I was loyal to you and not embarrassed because he was there.
But I love it. I feel like it shows so much about how strong Dina is and how loyal and sort of just, I don't know, I love that. I feel like that little moment says so much about Dina.
We really wanted to show or build trust between Joel and Tommy and this group to show that without their help, they might have died, meaning Tommy and Joel would have died without this group. Another one where I think I'm like screaming out to all like the actors, okay, now they're burning, now like there's a lot of fire. And you gotta speak up over the storm. Again, none of those elements are there.
Let's get inside!
And right now, only Abby knows what's about to go down. Everybody else thinks like, oh, we just found friendly people that helped us along. We captured this all as one go, from here all the way to the golf club hit. And initially we had versions of it where it was edited to be multiple cuts. And then it felt like it could just be way more tense if the whole thing was one shot. Required a lot of stitching of different performances and different elements, and some tweaking of stuff in animation, but
You have no idea.
yeah, I find that this scene has so much tension, the way it now moves.
We rehearsed it so many times before we shot it to make all the moving parts work.
From a directing side, that this can be hard as well because you're trying to pay attention to so many actors and making sure it's all feeling honest and authentic.
Y'all should come back with us, restock before you head out.
Appreciate it.
Again, there's no
no.
ambush here. They're all being authentic
This is my brother.
until this moment. And now everything has changed.
We knew this was going to be the most controversial scene in the whole game, and the intention is that it is brutal and it is hard to watch, which obviously as a player is really difficult to go through, but it puts you in alignment with Ellie. You're watching this devastation to this man that you've come to love as a character, and now you're watching him be brutally murdered. And it should be upsetting, it should hurt. A lot of people are still really upset about it, but what a faster way, I can't think of a faster way to help you understand why Ellie is going to go as far as she's going to go, because we're there seeing how this thing was stolen from her.
Yeah, this interplay of like, you want him to suffer, and he's not giving you the satisfaction of like, I don't care who you are, do your worst.
Mm-hmm.
And you try.
Yeah.
You try to do your worst.
Joel's not a man who begs.
That is a conversation I had with Troy about how prepared he was. He's lived for 20 years, 25 years at this point of like, just always accepting that this day might come. Something like this will happen because it always happens in this world.
Yeah, it's irrelevant to him who they are or why they're doing this, because there are so many people who could want to do this to him, given the life he's led.
I just remember shooting it and being like, this moment you've worked towards for so long and wanting it to feel right and wanting it to feel good. And it happens and you just feel fucking empty.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've talked about it, Neil. Like, you had talked to me about this role and you told me about this character, Abby, and you told me what you were planning for her. And she had like a different story, I think, at the time, how they met and everything. But I was excited and terrified because, like, as a player, that's traumatizing. And I didn't know how people were going to react to it.
You don't get to rush this.
Yeah, we had versions of this sequence where Ellie came in after the fact, and it just felt we needed her to see it to really set up this journey.
Yeah, this was rough. This was a rough day on set because I knew we were losing a character that we all love very deeply. You know, even the imaginary circumstances of that are just hard. It's also our, you know, all of our friendship, my friendship with Troy. So just seeing that and...
What I remember more than anything is, you know, we're going through the mechanics of it, and we're stupid suits on a soundstage, and there's all of these machinations and things that are keeping it goofy. But the one thing that cuts through the din of all that is when I look over at Ashley. Because being the great actor that you are, all of those things go away, and all you see is the moment that we're trying to create and the reality of what this scene is for you personally. And everything that I'm feeling, everything that I'm thinking is gone because I'm just watching. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to watch that scene without it bringing me to that place, ever. But the thing that has been proven to me is because of the way that I feel, because it's so hard, it is absolutely the most honest, perfect version of this story. There's no other version of this story. There just isn't.
And for this version of the scene, it was important that we were in Ellie's head, that you don't get to hear this conversation that's happening around her. But this was just about the ringing of the ears of pure hatred and anger that she's experiencing right now.
Oh my God. Ellie?
And just this final look right here where she sees him and I can't fix this. Well, she's gonna try to find a way to fix it.
Yeah, she's gonna try to find a way to fix it in the best way she knows how.
I love this scene with you and Jeffrey. Brings you Tupperware with food.
Oh yes, this was one of my favorite scenes to shoot. I love working with Jeffrey.
You're so brilliant how it goes from this really sad, mournful place to just slowly rage over time as you're not getting what you want.
Also, this emptiness you have just from that look out the window there to like this, that like bereft. It's just really right on point. It's just so good.
Hey.
Hey.
Jeffrey here is quite brilliant. Is like
Yeah.
he wants to go after the people that hurt Joel. So there's like the emotional part of his mind and the rational part, and they're kind of in conflict here. And like he's trying to do what's best for Ellie, which is to say it's not worth it.
I also really love how the blocking of this scene worked out, because I love that neither of them can look at each other. They're not facing each other.
Maria wants to make sure you're eating.
Oh, and Jeffrey's voice. It's so
She can't stop us.
scrumptious.
To have the guys that we would need to do this smart, we'd be leaving Jackson vulnerable.
I love it. It's like the one time you look at him is to make him feel shame. Like, are you really saying this to me?
The only time that there's confidence there with her is when there's anger present.
What if we get hit by hunters again?
Is this you talking or is this her?
That's a valid point.
If it were you or me, Joel would be halfway to Seattle already.
Which is true.
Well, we had actually lines here where he counters that, and he says, Joel never went after the people that killed his daughter. Like, because we really wanted to flesh out the point that, like, Joel is more pragmatic with his violence, where Ellie comes from a much more emotional place with it.
Why didn't you guys keep that in?
It just felt like we're just
It's too on the nose?
too much exposition about the previous game. And we wanted more to stay in this moment. Like, there's other ways to talk about what Joel did in other spots, and really wanted to focus about
And if you want to come with me, great.
the logistics of going after the people, going after Abby.
You have no idea what you're walking into. You don't know how large that group is.
Don't care.
Armed.
I don't care. You can't talk me out of this.
Again, this moment of decision where he's like, in order to protect her, I'm gonna have to go by myself. And he's like, now he's lying again. Not dissimilar to Joel lying to Ellie to protect her.
Give me a day,
Right? That give me a day's bullshit.
okay? There's got to be some folks you can spare.
Why the
Yeah, she
choice
won't
of the
budge.
hairpiece coming down? The little hair string for Tommy.
There's a little bit of design, like Abby has something similar as well. So it's like there's what animators call secondary movement. So as when he's moving around, there's this physics on the hair. And just one more way to just bring the CG character to life.
Yeah.
It's also such a flex because it really
So
doesn't
hard.
look good in other games. Like it's
Yeah.
just like it looks amazing, and it's like it feels it's just like such a subtle flex. Like look what we can do.
Yeah.
I love this hug that then it's just too painful for the two of them. They can't stay in that moment.
That's too uncomfortable to be vulnerable. Got too much shit to do.
There's something about, you know, when it doesn't feel real until you're at his grave. Like there's a part of you, maybe because you play a bunch, like you play video games, you watch a lot of popular movies, you keep thinking he's going to come back somehow. And then it's like, no, there's his name on that gravestone. And then the famous Gustavo All Gone, another version of that theme.
It was hard. It was hard. Joel is a character that I love. And I wasn't ready to let him go. So seeing that, even experiencing that of seeing, you know, oh, we're doing a scene where we're at the gravestone is very final. I love it. I love that Dina was there the whole time and we didn't know that yet. Not looking on, just sort of giving Ellie her moment.
I remember when we were doing that, I really did feel like I was like really trying not to listen to you.
I felt that too.
You did?
Yeah. It's like I'm right here if you need me, but
It's
I'm
like,
not
but
listening.
I'm not listening. You know, you have your privacy, but if you need me, I'm here.
This is Ashley Scott as Maria realizing what Tommy has done.
Maria, I'm headed to Seattle. I wish I could let it go, but I can't. I have to bring these people to justice. Ellie's gonna try to come after me, but stop her. Take her guns, lock up the horses, maybe lock her up. Buy me some time so I can end this. Love you always, Tommy. He's gonna get himself killed.
He should have taken me with him.
I like that she hasn't thought at all about what she's just going. She doesn't even know what she's doing, what she's gathering.
Zero plan.
And Maria knows this, right? Maria knows her, like
That's not gonna
a
fucking
parent
happen.
of sorts, and to say, okay, well, if you're gonna do this, here's some stuff.
You going with her?
Damn right she is.
Ride or die.
Sneak out of here.
I love that those little moments with Dina where you see the snarky bits.
And it's funny because like this whole section here, I constantly felt like anytime we were dealing with Joel or anything about Jackson there, I was like, oh, this is none of my business. You know, like it felt like I shouldn't be there. And even in that scene there too, it was like, well, I mean, yeah, I'm going with her and I'm here to be with her, but all of this stuff predates me. So all I could do were kind of these little things that were almost like for your benefit to like kind of support you or be like, I saw that was a lot. Are you
You're
okay?
like, oh
you
boy,
know?
she's a lot. Yeah.
Do me a favor.
It's that weird feeling of letting someone that's grieving have their space, but offering yourself to help them in any way you can.
Of course.
All right. Get going. You're losing light.
I really remember the end of this scene and this look that I give you. Like, well, that was a lot. I think, yeah, here it is right here. Yeah, there it is. I was like, like, oof, this is like a lot. Today
It's
is
also
a lot.
that could have gone way worse.
Yeah, and here it's still there. I'm like, all right.
This shot
gonna
right
go.
here with the light coming through Ellie's ear is just so gorgeous.